anxiety about the unknown.
I could hear the steps.
He had all
walking
black
up the
eyes.
stairs.
There was no
All of a sudden, this
light in
huge
his eyes.
object with lights was on top
And it
of
made
us.
no sound.
The fear. Yes, this happened.
And so I looked at them and I saw them and they were pale. And they all started saying, "Did you see? Did you see?" And so I was like, "Oh, please don't tell me what happened," right? And they said they saw this girl behind me.
Hi, and welcome to Yes, This Happened. Today you'll listen to Leticia's story. Leticia is married and is a housewife like any other. She has 3 children and lives in Ixtapa, in Mexico. But her chilling story begins in the port of Acapulco. A few years ago, the first night she slept in her new, beautiful villa in an upper-class area, overlooking the bay of that beautiful city at midnight.
Hi, I'm Leticia, and I'm American, and my husband is Mexican. This happened in the year 2005 in the port of Acapulco. So, at that time, I had 2 daughters, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And we came to live in Acapulco due to work situations. We found a very nice house. It was a villa. There were 7 other houses, and it was a very nice place, very spacious. It had a very large pool. It was a very nice house, and for reasons of the safety of my daughters, I did not want to be in front of the pool, so I went to the upper floor. It all started from the first night we slept there. Everything was still in boxes. I still didn't have my complete furniture. Only part of the move had arrived. And at midnight, I was woken up by a very loud noise that woke me up. I thought that one of my daughters had fallen out of bed. I immediately got up and ran to look, and to my surprise, I found nothing. And I saw that my daughters were peacefully asleep, and even I thought that it was part of a dream. But I was left with doubts because I heard it really real. But I was left with doubts because what I heard was very real. In fact, it woke me up, but I always try to give some logical explanation to the things that happened to me. A few days later, when all the furniture was fully installed, my husband had gone out with some friends, and suddenly I heard the entrance door, which was made of wood. I heard how he entered. I heard footsteps. I heard movements in the kitchen, like when you arrive home and you want to pour yourself a glass of water or eat something. So I got up from my bed and went to the hall of the stairs, and I called to him, and he didn't answer me. And I kept hearing these noises in the kitchen of opening and closing drawers.
Leticia is absolutely sure her husband is home, but he's not answering her. Even though she feels a compulsion to go to the kitchen, she's tired, she's already in bed, and decides to call his phone instead.
So I took my phone and called him. I thought, well, I'm gonna listen to the sound of his cell phone. But to my surprise, he answered me. But obviously, you could hear that he was in an open place. You could hear music. You could hear that he obviously wasn't there in the house. It scared me a lot. I was paralyzed, and I explained to him on the phone what had happened.
Leticia's husband was at a restaurant in the Costera Miguel Alemán, not far away from his house. So he rushed home, met Leticia at the door, and after a thorough search, found no one else in the house.
That was like one of the first things that began to happen. Another night, my daughter came to my bedroom to ask me where her sister was, and I got super nervous because she wasn't there. So we started looking for her. We looked for her in her bed, under the bed in the other bedroom. We had a guest bedroom, and we didn't find her in there. We didn't find her in the living room, in the dining room, neither did we find her in the kitchen. She was approximately 3 years old at the time, and to my surprise, she was in my husband's playroom. She was like playing at a little tea table, talking to someone. So I went and saw, because at first I felt peace seeing her, but I was very scared because generally children at that age are too scared to wake up at night. Going down the stairs, everything totally dark. She didn't turn any lights on. She was in a place alone, and it was one of the times that scared me the most. Because my daughter was in a sleepwalking state. I called out to her like 2 times, and she finally reacted. And then, I just took her back to her bedroom. The next morning, with my husband, we went to buy something to lock the door to prevent these incidents, but strange things kept happening. Like, suddenly, we heard someone running. And as I mentioned, I'm a person who tries to give logic to everything. And so I try to not, give it that much importance.
But the paranormal occurrences are not limited to Leticia's kids and husband. Her own brother, while visiting, would be the first one to see the girl.
My brother, who was at that time, must have been about 12 or 10 years old, around there, was visiting me, and he loves video games. So he was playing, and suddenly he saw, out of the corner of his eye, that a girl approached him and stopped. But he was so into his game that he just said, like, "What's up?" And she didn't answer him. And it seemed very strange to him when he saw that the girl didn't say anything, and she ran away. So he thought, oh, maybe she wanted something. So he paused his game to get up and went to the girls' bedrooms to find them asleep. He told me about it, and I was like, oh, Omar, that is, maybe one of the girls got up, I don't know. I tried to not give it too much importance again.
Yes, this happened.
Leticia and her family are experiencing very strange occurrences in their villa in Acapulco. Strange sounds, footsteps, and even a sighting. But a social gathering at the villas leaves her with more questions than answers about her situation.
One afternoon, all the neighbors met. It was more of a social gathering, right? Without much importance. Suddenly, everyone started to say, hey, don't you feel strange things happening sometimes? And I was like, what? I asked my neighbor, so she told me. What happened was that last night, my husband was going to leave, and I had set the alarm clock at 5 in the morning. So when the alarm clock rings, I open my eyes, and I see this girl standing in front of me. I should mention that the neighbor I told you about has a daughter, like approximately 8 years old. But she said that when she opened her eyes and saw that it wasn't her daughter, it was a random girl. She was really scared, so she closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, she was gone. And other neighbors began to comment, I hear these noises, footsteps. So after that, we were left with just more fear. I mean, all this is happening to several people. So once I asked the security guard, who had been working there for years, if he hadn't heard or seen something strange, that's when he told me that in those villas, there were 7 villas. The last one belonged to the owner, the main one, the largest. It had not been finished by the carpentry business, because the daughter of the carpenter who was working there had been found drowned in the pool of the houses where we lived. That scared me a lot.
After finding out the disturbing reason for the paranormal activity in the complex where she lives, Leticia is more scared than before. Her husband is usually out working, her kids at school, and things don't really get any better at all. She tells us what happened shortly thereafter.
Things were moved around or hidden. I always try to stay calm, but in the end, it's not that easy. It's the house where you live, and well, you can't leave that easy. Finally, after a while, we moved out, and the last night I spent in that house, I was fine. I was already pregnant with my third child. The last night we were there, we were cleaning and moving, and the moving company had already taken everything, so we were just left with some mattresses to sleep on that night. My brother, the one I mentioned a while ago, he was 12 years old, slept in what was my bedroom. Like I said, we had already done the cleaning, we washed the floors, we washed the bathroom, we washed everything. My daughters were already in the city where we went to settle, and in the morning, as soon as I started picking things up to leave, I realized that there were some child's bare footprints in the bedroom. No child was there, only my brother was there, and the feet were smaller, and the footprints were where his head was. The footprints were walked around the mattress, and you can see that the footprints stopped at the edge of his bed, of his mattress, and you can tell it was just standing there, like looking at him while he was sleeping. That scared us a lot because we didn't know what it was, who it was. We all saw it, so I took pictures. They were very strange footprints because generally when you step on the ground with wet feet, your footprints decrease because your feet are getting drier, right? But not here. That wasn't the case. Every footprint was the same. When we finally moved to our new house, we went for a walk to Cihuatanejo. And there I met a person who was like a medium. She was a friend of some friends we had there. And we were eating, and after a while, she came up to me and said, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And she told me, "Have you ever had a daughter that died?" And I told her, no, not at all. I've never had a loss like that. And she told me, "Oh, don't be scared. I still talk about it and I feel like shudders because it still scares me." And she told me, "You have a very strong presence of a girl to your side." I agreed to meet with her again so that we could, touch on this issue in more depth. But due to her husband's work, she went to live in Spain and I never saw her again. But I was still afraid of what she told me because the things that had happened in the house in Acapulco, and because I already knew of the existence of a girl who had died in the pool, drowned in those houses.
The unsettling realization that the spirit of the girl in the pool had apparently hitchhiked her way to Leticia's new home in Ixtapa set the stage for the most frightening event of all. Once Leticia was settled in that new house, she invited some friends over for a cup of coffee one night.
I invited my friends to have a coffee. It was around 9 at night, and our children were playing and all that, right? Suddenly, I had my back to the kitchen. It was like an arch, and all my friends were staring behind me. And so I looked at them and I saw them, and they were pale. They went pale. And they all started saying, "Did you see? Did you see?" And so I was like, "Oh, please don't tell me what happened," right? And they said they saw this girl behind me. In fact, she picked up a coffee box, lifted it, and dropped it. It fell crooked and she straightened it. The girl straightened it. My friends practically ran out of the house. So I was left very scared because I had nowhere to go. It was my house, so I stayed there, and very strange things continued to happen. The lights turned on, they turned off. It even reached a point where my daughters could no longer go to the kitchen or the bathroom by themselves. My husband at the time lived in another city, and so it was only me, my 2 daughters, and my baby. And very, very strong things began to happen, like furniture moving, my car keys were hidden, they opened and closed doors for me. So the situation was very, very tense. My sister-in-law, who lives upstairs, doesn't even come anymore. Once I brought my son a metallic helium balloon, and I saw how it moved around the room as if someone was walking with it, and there weren't any open windows, so it couldn't have been the wind. Situations that are already very, very scary. You can say I was already very worried about the safety of my baby and my daughters, who were totally terrified. Sometimes it looked like someone was running in the room. It was very, very, very scary, very scary.
Leticia is at her wit's end with the situation. If the girl in the pool followed her from Acapulco to Ixtapa, will she ever leave her side? Will her family ever be able to lead a normal life? A possible solution comes up with the help of some friends.
I have a friend who is a Christian, and I told her, you know what, I need you to help me. I need you to go and pray at my house because the situation is getting worse and worse. It's a very tense situation. I mean, I don't feel calm anymore. And another friend who was there the day of the coffee, that saw the girl is very Catholic. And she offered to go and pray and pour holy water. And we met one day. I don't remember exactly what day it was, but it was around 8 at night. The atmosphere felt so tense, so terrible. And when they started praying, my Christian friend opened the door and began to tell her, the girl, leave, you are not welcome, whoever you are. And when she finishes praying, she tells me, friend, I felt how she came out. From then on, there were no more significant incidents, and right now, things are quite calm. Suddenly, once in a while, you feel something strange, but on rare occasions.
There is no question in Leticia's mind that the lonely spirit of a drowned girl stuck to her in Acapulco and followed her to Ixtapa, triggering a scary and stressful series of paranormal events even her friends witnessed. Fortunately for her, some of those friends were able to put the girl to rest and get her out of Leticia's house. For now. What do you think?